The Dangote refinery and the newly revamped Port Harcourt and Warri refineries, as well as 6 other refining facilities across the country, are expected to consume about 37% of the country's total projected crude oil production in the first half of 2025. Specifically, data released from the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, NUPRC, indicated that 123.4 million barrels would be distributed among the active 9 refineries in the country during the period under consideration. The Commission stressed that the volume required by the local refineries was submitted by the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority in line with Section 10(1)(2) of the Production, Curtailment and Domestic Crude Oil Supply Obligation Regulations 2023. In all, Dangote will in H1 2025 have access to 99.5 million barrels of the 123.4 million barrels projected local crude production, followed by Warri with 13.5 million barrels and the upcoming Kaduna refinery who got 3.9 million barrels of a total in-country crude in all volume. Well, my guest is Dr. Ayo Deleoni, is a partner with Bloomfield Law Practice. He is also an energy analyst and is a lawyer. Thank you so much, Dr. Oni. Happy New Year to you again.
Thank you very much, and it's indeed a Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you and everyone else.
I think we should start with the coming on stream of the Warri refinery. You know, I had you in when Port Harcourt refinery came on stream. Of course, I also had you in when Dangote refinery came on stream. Now Warri is on, though no petroleum production as in PMS at the moment, but production is on also at that facility. What is your understanding of all of these refineries coming on stream or almost at the same time before we talk about crude allocation to some of these refineries?
It's really good news. I mean, you'd see that, for example, when Dangote's refinery came on stream, diesel prices between that period and now have dropped by about 38%. And also PMS from around 975 at some point is about 899 now, right? So it's always positive. Yes, it's not just about the refineries. It's also the fact that the Naira has improved. It's also the fact that crude oil prices have dropped. So I've always said it before now that we're hewers of wood and drawers of water. When you do not add value to your base resource, you get very minimal profitability. But if you can add value, take it from cocoa, for example, to chocolate, you make much more. You even control the value chain. If you can do from crude to petroleum products, you make much more, create more jobs, improve the strength of your currency, balance of trade, and balance of payment. Unlike what we had in the past, we will produce crude, we will sell, and then buy petroleum products higher, such that we are at a deficit when it comes to balance of trade and balance of payment. But once you can produce, refine, and then sell refined products, it improves the strength of your currency, reduces the rate at which, for example, in Nigeria, it gets devalued. So it's all positive. You know, it's all very good news. That's why I say it's a happy new year indeed.
The Naira for dollar, Naira for crude deal is still on. And many also say that's also a positive for the industry. But my question really would be, considering our present crude oil production level and where we are with crude production, what's your take with regards to distribution of all of this? You know, there are commitments already with regards to the crude that we have on ground.
Yes. Generally speaking, forward sale arrangements have been in place with the NNPCL, with the IOCs, even with some juniors. But, you know, with the $5 billion Bonga deal, with the government approving the Shell Renaissance deal led by the ND Western Aradel Consortium, you know, with ensuring that closes, with ensuring that the NUPRC Orlando deal closes. You know, those are important transactions that ensure that we can produce more. Because if we produce more, it then means that we'll have more available for domestic refining. Remember that there's a crude supply, domestic crude supply obligation that they have to reserve certain quantities for refining locally. So the more we produce, the more they are able, despite those commitments under forward sale arrangement and such other similar arrangements. So for me, it's good. I mean, the reforms are quite painful. I mean, initially they were, but they are just the best thing to do. You know, if you keep doing the same thing and expecting a different result, then I mean, one needs to be examined medically. And I've always said it that some of what we were doing in the past was fiscal rascality, right? We're being rascals and we're fiscally rascal. So I think these reforms, particularly with respect to energy, are excellent in my own view. And we can only seek to do more in terms of approvals, government granting consent, even faster than what we did get with CEPLA that took 2 years and the Aradel deal that took nearly maybe a year or two. So if we can get those done faster, you can have more crude available, you can have more domestic supply. And, you know, for the first time, and I don't know if you realize, we went at the pumps queuing up this Christmas. Probably first time in about 2 decades. Maybe it's happened 1 or 2 other times in the last 20 years at the most. But other than that, every December, we're queuing up.
And for real, this time around, there were no queues. PMS available everywhere across the country and at a competitive price. Are we likely to continue to see that, Dr. Oni? Is that what you're saying?
In terms of availability, of course. But recall, when it comes to crude, because it's the vagaries of the international crude price, because everyone wants to do right. It's a business. Even the NNPCL is a business. Dangote, those other refineries, Aradel, everyone, it's a business. So if crude oil prices go up, the prices will change. If our currency improves or gets, it's not as strong as it is now, the prices too will change. But if Trump does drill, baby drill, prices are likely to come down. But it also then impacts our own income, right? The benchmark, the budget benchmark in terms of volume, that could work. But in terms of pricing, may then be a challenge if prices go down, right? Good for end users like you and I, but maybe bad for our income. That's why diversification is still good, and the emphasis on gas still remains very crucial.
Now, let's look at Nigeria being an investment destination for the oil and gas industry. You just talked about the Bonga, Shell Bonga deal and all of that. Despite all the odds, it seems like something very good is happening in that sector. And it seems like that investment that we used to talk about before now, drying up in some cases, seems to be coming back. What more are you expecting from government to attract more of that investment into the sector? And the PIA, the implementation of the PIA is also something that we need to talk about. What do you think?
Interesting. Yeah, I think government should just continue this current trajectory, do more around reducing theft. You know, there have been a lot of talk and investment by the Upstream Commission on metering. You know, we want to be sure how much is produced, how much is exported. Those are important, and reduce theft, right? So other than those, I mean, those incentives, fiscal incentives, it's not sufficient to have those incentives in the books. You want to be sure that in reality, it's not impossible or nearly impossible to get them in reality, right? Because the number of incentives people will speak about, but when it comes to getting them, it's almost impossible to get them. So government must ensure that in reality, people can get these incentives, and also shorten the period for regulatory approvals. And I think there's a lot of work being done by the Upstream Commission, for example, to get experts to conduct the due diligence, and they are giving very short timelines. Interestingly, I worked on the Ajip Oando deal. I worked on the due diligence with my team, and it was an opportunity to look at how things are done and to ensure that it could be done speedily, and we're able to close out speedily. So once government continues to do what it's currently doing with the presidential initiatives, I think that we'll continue to see, yeah, there'll be challenges, particularly because of energy transition and all of that. But you see that even some of the international oil companies, the Totals of this world, the Shells of this world, are even running back their transition plans and even say, okay, you know what, we will continue to make money from hydrocarbons, maybe do more gas, but rolling back all that race to completely phase out hydrocarbons. It's now reducing. So that's an opportunity for us. What happened with the Russia-Ukraine war? If there's such an opportunity to be able to sell our gas, we need to continue to work on infrastructure now so that we can get more investment across the value chain, upstream, midstream, downstream. Those incentives on midstream and downstream too should come to play. Issues around pricing, there's still some controversy in my view. There is more than one interpretation to certain provisions in the PIA around midstream, downstream gas pricing and all of that. I think that those need to be well ironed out, proper regulations, so that there's clarity, because investors want clarity, want certainty. They don't even mind at times a bad regime. They'll get smart lawyers, smart finance people to structure those deals, but they'd rather there's certainty than have good laws that keep changing, right? So I think that's what government needs to do. Government needs to continue to push the narrative and also publicity, getting the information out there, celebrating the country, right? Celebrating our wins, making a lot of noise around those wins is something I think this government does need to do a bit more too. Otherwise, I'd say kudos to a large extent, at least for oil, gas, and oil and gas specifically.
Well, many is also looking at the Trump presidency. By the time he takes charge, people are thinking that what would happen in the oil market. That's particularly would focus on the price of crude. If there is so much production of shale oil and all of that in the United States, I know you understand some international politics in the oil and gas market. What do you think that that will spell for countries like Nigeria, of course, Nigeria, Angola, and the rest?
Interesting. Now, the issue around shale, recall that prices must be at a particular level, yes, for you to even be able to do anything around those non-conventional energy sources. So for now, you have quite a bit. We may have a glut if we're not careful, and prices are going to plummet. But to the extent that you are adding value, it's profitable. It's still not exactly bad news for us. But in terms of competition, I'm not sure. I don't think the non-conventional can completely compete with what we currently have. See, we have a new, we've got the NUPRC, which is a new crude type, right? Apart from what we had prior to now. So we continue to discover sweet crude, right? And we continue to discover sweet crude. As compared to non-conventional, we still do have a big advantage. And the more crude you have, the less likely it is for non-conventional to be profitable. So from a competition standpoint for non-conventional versus what we have, I'm not that concerned. I'm happy with where we are. I think we can do more. I think we can achieve more. I think we can push the narrative in our favor and add gas as we have been doing to the mix.
Adding gas to the mix, you will see the president's speech for the new year. He talked about the LPG initiative and CNG and LPG and all of that drive for cleaner energy. But in your assessment of what's been happening, particularly with focus on the CNG drive of government, what is your assessment of how receptive are Nigerians to all of this, and how sure are you? I know that countries are taking advantage of this, but do you see that change in Nigeria? What percentage level are you seeing when it comes to receptiveness of Nigerians to now embrace cleaner kind of energy? You touched on energy transition in your submission earlier.
Okay, so fun fact. I think that more people are concerned about the financials than whether it's clean energy or dirty energy. Not very many people, apart from experts and environmentalists, more people are concerned about it. And it's cheaper. So being cheaper means, and I already do have a number of clients, I already have contracts, which I can mention, with certain bodies to convert to CNG for their buses, for their trucks. So I see when it comes to businesses in particular, when it comes to public utility, and I think government too should also push the narrative around even its own fleet, So I see a lot around commercial businesses, public transportation. Now, where I struggle a bit is private sector, particularly the middle class, upper middle class, and the wealthy. I'm not sure how many people will want to convert their S classes, their Range Rovers from what it currently is to CNG. Very few people will, particularly where you still are under warranty. But other than that class of people, I think that people will want something cheaper. And the analysis is there, the data is there, the research has been done to show that you save much more. Maybe you save at the minimum 30% and more, once you convert. So I think that from that point of view, and I do travel quite a bit, and I do see public buses using CNG a lot, even in the West, right? Public transportation, if you go to, I've seen a few in Toronto, I've seen a few in Calgary, I think I've seen in New York, I've seen in a few of these countries where you find out that people are using, particularly for public transportation, CNG and LPG to a more limited extent. So I think that we can't borrow that, and I think that because we have it in abundance, there's always that opportunity around competition, right? If you have it in abundance, then you want to take advantage of what you do have. So I see it taking flight.
So finally, before I let you go, it's a new year, obviously, and the outlook for the entire oil and gas industry in your thoughts now, both Nigeria and globally, even as we put the energy transition, initiative into consideration, what are you projecting for the entire industry?
Okay. I think that, and I'm not sure you are aware, I think it's Bank of America and maybe Chase Bank withdrawing from some energy transition initiative yesterday or day before yesterday. So already you'd find out they were withdrawing as maybe energy transition banks or something, right? Already you can feel the Trump effect, and I think he's going to be very influential. So I think prices are going to go down. I think they're going to slow down. Prices for crude will go down at least marginally. I think that energy transition is going to slow down. I think there's going to be more done around gas infrastructure. From a Nigerian perspective, I expect that there'll be more investment midstream, downstream, and with Bonga, it's going to lead to there'll be multiplier effects where it creates other jobs, maybe newer industries. I see tech playing a more critical role, right, with drones and all of that technology in oil and gas. So I think you see a lot of younger people doing stuff, maybe working remotely or even coming back to the country to do more around our gas, around our oil and gas. I see a few new millionaires and even billionaires from the energy sector, particularly around gas. They are newer guys who are coming on stream and who are very aggressive. So I think that there will be opportunities this year. I think it's going to be an interesting year for oil and gas. I doubt that. I do not think our budget benchmark will work around pricing. I think that's something that I doubt will work otherwise. And I think our currency will be relatively stable this year. May even improve, but I don't think it will go below above the 1,500 benchmark, considering everything we see now. That's my own view.
Production quota, government is looking at hitting 3 million barrels per day.
The 3 million barrels, I struggle a bit, but I think that we will do well over 2 million. 3 million barrels, I struggle a bit with that, but I think, we may be around the region of 2.5 to 2.75. I'm not sure we will do 3 million this year.
All right, well, that's still a step in the right direction. I must thank you so much, Dr. Ayodele Oni, partner Bloomfield, and he's also an energy analyst and a lawyer. Thank you so much for your time, Bloomfield Law Practice. I do enjoy the rest of your day. Have a great one.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right, then. Well, it's time to talk markets and an equities trader, Mr. Dele Sanusi, who is an equities trader